Hello, everyone, and welcome to Growing Together, a gardening podcast with me, John Lamb, and Don Kinsler, a lifelong gardener and the North Dakota State University Extension horticulturist for Cass County. Don, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm enjoying this time of year.
Well, we are having a great June.
We are. My giant fleece flower has just started blooming, and that thing is massive. It is 6 feet high and 6 feet wide. And that's one of the biggest perennials I grow. You know, it's amazing. It grows from ground level to 6 feet all in the course of what?
A little over a month,
2 months?
Yeah.
And so, I'm excited. That's fun to see blooming. And that's one of the show-stopping perennials that people will walk by on the street and say, what is that? It looks like a shrub. But definitely requires big space. So I'm enjoying seeing what's blooming this time. The vegetable gardening is doing well. I hilled up the potatoes, looking forward to a good potato crop. And the weeds are somewhat suppressed this year, I think because it was so dry. And how about you? How's everything going in your yard?
Yeah, same thing. Fleece flower just absolutely exploded. Same with our goat's beard. Our goat's beard's up really nice and getting really tall there. So that's good to see. Our bleeding hearts are still kind of hanging on. So that's really nice. We get a lot of color in the shade area there. But yeah, all in all, everything's doing really pretty well. The peonies are now faded, but the hydrangeas are really coming in nice. And all the other flowers, all the annuals are looking good. You got a lot of good color there. So everything's really nice.
And as we approach the kind of the height of summer, it's also fair season. So on today's podcast, we have two guests with us, and we're going to talk about 4-H, the Red River Valley Fair, and fair season is just a tradition across the upper Midwest. So we're going to look forward to talking with Lilly and Samantha about that. And I've got a letter, nice letter that listener wrote in. So today's letter is from Calvin. Calvin sent a good photo, and Calvin writes, "What's happening with my tomato plants? The tops are getting all squirrely." Good description for it. Getting all squirrely, and they just are not growing. What is wrong, and what can I do to correct it? Okay, well, thanks, Calvin, for sending in the photo, because the photo really paints the picture. And there's nothing like show and tell on a podcast, is there? But let me paint the picture. All right, so the tomato is in a pot. The pot is probably about a 3-gallon size. Now, that's one of the first things. Tomatoes in a container should really be in the equivalent of about a 5-gallon bucket. So I think it's a little small of a pot for it. The other thing I notice is that the pot was not filled all the way with potting mix. We've discussed in the past the importance of when you're using a pot for anything, houseplant, outdoor plant, of using the maximum amount of pot space. But the pot looks like it's only 2/3 filled, and I've always noticed a correlation between plants that are ailing and a pot that hasn't been filled. You know, if you use the entire soil vertical profile, gravity pulls the water down better, and there's better drainage, plus you have more root area. So in addition to being a smallish pot, it doesn't have soil all the way in it. So I think that would have gotten it off to a good start. But the squirreliness, as Calvin describes, if a person looks at the upper part of the tomato, the growth is real stretched out, sprawled out, curly, wavy. And so I suspect that there's herbicide damage. So maybe a lawn was sprayed next to the tomato plant, or maybe compost was used that had some herbicide in it. So it's going to be tough to overcome that. Once a tomato plant has absorbed herbicide, it's very difficult to get that tomato plant, because they're really sensitive, to get that to overcome it. Plus, a common question is, too, will the tomatoes be safe to eat if it does bear fruit? But there's really no one that will give that okay. You know, you just don't know if there's residual in that fruit. And so I'm afraid that, we learn from our experiences. So Calvin, bigger pot, more soil, and really investigate where that herbicide might have come from to avoid problems in the future.
Well, I think Kelvin still has some time to go out and get a new plant, and maybe a plant that's a bit more established.
Short season tomato.
You get a short season tomato
and like
plant.
you say, John, one that's already potted, good sized pot already. Garden centers still have good supplies.
Yeah, get a big bucket and get some good potting soil
and a tomato that's already off to a good start.
Yeah, and like you said, fill it up, and remember that especially with potting soil, once it's watered, it will tend to compact. It'll sink down a little bit, so give it a little bit more. And then for certainly tomatoes really love fertilizer, like you say.
Exactly.
Get on that. So he's got a chance to salvage this summer.
There is, and we all learn if things don't go quite the way we like, we learn and then we change things so we have success in the future.
So if people have other questions for you about a plant that they're having an issue with or something that they want to show off, what's the best way to reach you?
Send an email, donald.kinsler, spelled Kinzler, at ndsu.edu. And thanks. Photos always are great. And send photos of your successes. If you're growing giant fleece flower, I'd love to see it. And so do send us any issues and good, happy things that are going on also.
All right. Well, Don, why don't you introduce our guests today?
Well, today we have two special guests. Now, Lilly Beana, who is the NDSU Cass County Extension Agriculture Natural Resources Agent. You've been with us on podcasts before.
Yeah.
We talked about weed control and important issues. And also joining us from our same NDSU Extension office is Samantha Weidner, who is the 4-H and Youth Engagement Agent for Cass County. And do you prefer Sam or Samantha?
Usually Sam, but
we always call you Sam, and both Lilly and Sam are just down the hall from where I have my office in NDSU Extension. So welcome to you both. I thought it'd be fascinating as we approach fair season to talk about these wonderful county fairs that go on, and of course the 4-H involvement that goes on with the fairs. And so the Red River Valley Fair is coming up very soon. Tell us about that a little bit, Sam. What are the dates of the fair, and what is Extension's involvement in that? Let's start with the location and the dates of this year's fair.
So this year's fair starts off on July 3rd and goes through the 12th. We have 4-H events starting on the 2nd. That's our big judging day for our static exhibits, where we have about 1,300 static exhibits being exhibited this year. The static building is in the Butler building this year, and Lilly can talk a little bit about the livestock and where that will be.
Yep. So most of our livestock events are in the livestock barn at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds. That's where you'll see 3 of our main species: swine, sheep, goats. The beef are in the barn west of the livestock barn. And then the small animals like the rabbits and the chickens and the ducks, they're east of the livestock barn.
Now, for anybody that's outside of kind of the Fargo area but thought, gosh, this sounds like kind of a fun county-type fair. And, of course, it's the Red River Valley Fair, so it draws from quite an area. Where is the fairgrounds exactly? Any description as to how somebody from outside the area might think, gosh, this would be kind of fun? How do I find the fairgrounds?
So the fairgrounds are in West Fargo. They're actually out of city limits, but they're right west of West Fargo. So if you're coming in on Interstate I-94, you can exit, and it's right off of Main Avenue. Yeah.
Easy to find.
Yep.
I've lived here my life. I didn't realize that it was outside of city limits.
Yep.
Wow.
Technically outside of city limits. Yep.
Exactly. And from kind of the horizon, you can usually see the Ferris wheel and all kinds of...
If you live close enough, you can hear everything too.
Yes.
You'll hear the races.
Races.
Fireworks.
You can see the fireworks. I can see the fireworks out of my window, actually.
And there's concerts going on. So it is, it's just a wonderful county fair type atmosphere. And so now, Sam, what kind of is Extensions and 4-H? What are we doing at the fair? Do you know the history of it all? How did we, as an NDSU Extension, how did we end up working at the fair, participating?
So through Extension, Extension is kind of what puts on 4-H in every county across all states in the U.S. And so we're kind of the ones that get everything going for the fair for 4-H. I don't know the exact history on, when that all started, but 4-H has been around since 1902, so I would assume that it kind of goes way back. And our extension team, almost everyone in our office is out there throughout the week, kind of helping people find where they need to go, helping out with all the different 4-H events throughout the week.
Yeah, and so let's get into a little bit more detailed. Let's talk about, you mentioned Judging Day. So, and we'll talk a little bit later in the podcast about kind of 4-H and its benefits and how people might consider participating in 4-H. But on Judging Day, and you mentioned that's Thursday, the second. Yep. Thursday the 2nd. I get to judge the vegetables, the flowers, and that part of the 4-H. And so that's awesome. I'll be there also. And so 4-Hers bring their projects to the fair like that. Tell us a little bit more about like in the building there where they bring their exhibits. Tell us a little bit more about the types of projects that they might bring. And, first of all, what is the reason for them bringing projects?
So throughout the year, kids are working on different project areas, focus on everything from sewing to horticulture, civic engagement, communication arts, really anything that you can think of. There's something that a 4-Her can work on throughout the year. So the real main goal of it is they pick kind of what they want to work on at the beginning of the 4-H year in September and work on that throughout the year. And they can do different exhibits kind of showing the processes that they've been learning throughout the year. So like I said, there's everything from sewing to communication arts, lots of different things.
Don't forget the baking.
Yeah.
Yes, one of the best parts.
And so is this kind of an achievement type day?
Yeah, it's like an achievement day, kind of showing off all the skills and hard work that they've put in throughout the year.
Sure. So this is kind of the event at which then the 4-Hers can bring their projects, and then it gets judged, and then they get ribbons. And now in the vegetable and flower area that I do the judging on, of course, you get a red, white, or blue ribbon, but then there's also overall kind of champion type ribbons in each of those. And it is so fascinating. Again, it's in the Butler building, which is one of the main buildings there, central to the fair location. And it's so fascinating. I love being a judge in my little corner of it, but it's also fascinating to see these kids come in with the cookies that they baked. And, the woodworking projects that some of them make, the metalwork, the welding that they've done. And I mean, it's like a showcase of this is how things get done. And so it's fascinating that these kids learn these skills and then have a chance to exhibit them. I also get to do the entomology, and some of these cases of insects that the kids bring in and that are labeled, and it's like, wow, this would work for a college course. Mm-hmm. The insect collection that you need to do for a college course. So it's absolutely amazing. And I enjoy judging because the judging is interview judging. So then when they bring a display of rhubarb up to me, so a person judges one of the 4-Hers at a time. And so when they bring up their project to you, and then you kind of ask them, well, tell us about the project. How did you do it? How all the things. So you don't just look at the plate of rhubarb and give it a ribbon. Yeah, you tell us a little bit about that interview style of judging, kind of the goals of it, and how that's different than them just looking at something and giving it a ribbon. Explain the interview process.
I think the interview process is where the kids learn the most out of. They build those communication skills from such a young age. Even our Clover Buds, our youngest 5-year-olds through 7-year-olds, they're even doing the interview judging as well. So they're learning that process it kind of gives them an opportunity to explain what they did, what went right, what maybe didn't go right, and what they learned from it. And we tell our kids, even if you get a red ribbon, a lot of the times that's what they learned the most from. Is I talk to people who were in 4-H over the years, and those are the ones that they remember, are the ones they got a red ribbon on, because that's what they took, different skills from that and what they could do better next time. So that's kind of what I've heard from that.
Yeah, and so it's not like just getting a participation award. It's they actually have to do something. What I enjoy, for example, if someone brings up a plate of carrots, I enjoy asking, so when did you plant these carrots? To see if are they kind of into this project, or maybe did mom and dad do this and they kind of just brought it. So you can kind of see those that are actually engaged and involved in there. You can quickly learn, and it's fascinating. Again, in the gardening, there are some of those kids that they're into it. And so it's fun to see their projects and of course I can overhear like the woodworking judging. And it's just fascinating to see these kids learning this all through 4-H. And it's also so fun to see then when the building is open to the public the next day. It's fun to see people go through. Now, John, are you a regular fair goer?
I wouldn't say regular, no.
Yeah, because I know you, as the forum's arts and entertainment reporter, you are frequently at the concerts.
I'll be out there for the concerts. Last year, I did go through the buildings, the 4-H buildings, and I got to see the animals, and I think there was not the Miracle of Life, but there's something of life.
The birthing center.
The birthing center. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was kind of interesting too. So there's a lot of interesting things out there.
Yeah, and now you'll have even more incentive to go through the Butler building to see all of those. And are there ever any kids? I know I'm sure they all would like a blue ribbon. Do you ever have to kind of wipe away some tears? Any that are kind of disappointed? I'm sure. Do you ever have to do any little bit of emotional control?
I've judged in a couple other counties before, and we have had a few tears. And we just tell them, it's okay. This is what we learn. This is part of 4-H. Kind of just guide them through that and let them know that it's going to be okay, and they'll look back someday and remember it and think of it as a learning experience. So
I can say as a 4-H'er, I remember getting my first red ribbon and I was heartbroken, but I still remember that red ribbon.
I can't remember if we talked about this last time you were on the show, but there's an artist, R.J. Kern, he's a photographer, and he goes around to the state fairs and he takes pictures of the state fairs, but he did a whole series called The Unchosen Ones, which were the runner-ups. And it was a beautiful series just because he takes these kind of great, they're almost like glamour shots, like they look like they could be in Vogue. And it's, it's the kids and their animals. And it was just beautiful. It's been to the Yemcumps. It travels around quite a bit. He's actually got a piece over at the Rourke Midwestern right now. But so even in that, even in not necessarily always getting the top prize, there can be, there's still, it's not a forgotten achievement. You've done
a lot of value to it.
Yeah.
There is, absolutely, yeah.
And so I love the idea about the learning process. Of course, everyone would love to have a blue ribbon and then go on to get a grand reserve champion, etc. But the red ribbon is learning. The white ribbon, which is the lowest there. Most of the 4-H'ers are passionate enough about their project that they probably invested enough in it that white ribbon's the lowest ribbon isn't real common.
Yeah, not very common.
Yeah, not very common, because at that point, most of the kids are pretty invested into it. The other thing that I like about the interview judging, you're visiting with that 4-H person kind of one-on-one. I'm on one side of the table, they're on the other side. And the parents are kind of kept away, so that they aren't kind of hovering too close. There are a few that maybe try to hover a little bit, but it's very much the judge with the 4-H'er. And I really appreciate that. And so within the Butler building, then there are everything from the wood crafts to the metal to the baking, the banana breads and the muffins and the cakes and everything else, and the horticulture type exhibits and sewing, photography, paintings,
drawing.
It's amazing. So for anyone who comes to the Red River Valley Fair, make sure you come into the Butler building, because it's fascinating to see all of these different crafts and building projects, etc. So that's going on in the Butler building.
Well, one thing I would like to say is when you come into the Butler building, the 4-H exhibits are on the left. So it'll be decorated with red, white, and blue this year for the 250th anniversary of the United States. But we're on the left, and then open class through the Red River Valley Fair is on the right, and FFA is in the middle. So there's 3 different organizations that are
within that
there.
Butler building. Yep, and all worth a good tour. So the 4-H is in that red, white, and blue.
On the left,
And the open class, which is where the public, if a gardener wants to enter their plates of radishes and potatoes, I also judge the open class. And then the FFA, like you mentioned, also has one part of that building. So there's multiple things to visit in that.
So if you are living in Fargo and you want to participate in the fair, you can through open class. So
exactly,
that's something that's fun too.
And I believe it's any age.
Yep, any age, I think.
Class,
Exactly. And then I think within that any age, I think there's categories such as youth, senior citizens, and the photography exhibit, even in the open class, there's
a lot.
Really amazing to see. The artwork in that. So lots to see in that Butler building. Okay, so let's move outside the Butler building. Let's go to the animal arenas. And I know, Lilly, that's one area that you participate very strongly, along with Sam too. So tell us a little deeper into detail about the barns and livestock. So at 4-H members, so tell us about some of the different types of animals and what people might see and the process.
Okay, so, well, all of our animals come in. They all have to be there Friday, July 10th. So if you're coming like Wednesday or Thursday, we probably won't have all of our animals there. But Friday, July 10th is when all of the animals are there, and then they go and they show Sunday or Saturday and Sunday. So it's really cool to see all of the 4-Hers bringing their animals in, because you can tell how much work they've put into their animals. You'll see people leading their pigs with their whips. It's not hurting the pig, but they can walk that pig in a figure 8 better than like you could probably walk a figure 8.
So now are like the pigs during a certain time?
No. So
cattle during a certain time?
Not during a certain time. So our show starts at 8 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. We keep going until it's done. So there's not really like a set time that they'll be done. We always start with pigs because pigs get the warmest the fastest. So we start with pigs, and then I believe we go into sheep, goats, and then cattle are at the end.
So do the 4-Hers kind of walk their animal on in?
Yep. So each 4-Her brings their animal into the ring by themselves. Clover buds are allowed to have help. Those are the 5 to 7 year olds. So if their parent wants to kind of stand in the ring, like watching them, they're not allowed to show the animal for the clover bud, but they're allowed to help. They'll bring their animal into the ring. They'll walk them around, and they're judged. One thing I always tell the 4-Hers is you are being judged the second you get into that ring, and maybe even before. The judge is always watching. So they'll come into the ring. The judge will maybe make them walk like a circle, cut half the arena maybe. They'll line them up in different ways, maybe make them turn around, all sorts of things.
So if a 4-Her is leading a big dairy cow on in, and so then does the judge kind of tell them what to do or how to lead the...
Yep. So they'll kind of tell, like if they want you to do a big circle or when to stop or when to line up or when to...
So now I'm guessing maybe a pig doesn't always go where the 4-Her wants them to go. Tell us do you have any recollections about animals, either through the fair or from your experience? Any animals where just things don't quite turn out the way the 4-Her hoped?
I have seen an animal run over a kid. I've seen a kid run over by a pig, but he did a great job. He was a great showman. When you're in a ring surrounded by that many pigs, sometimes pigs are unpredictable. You're not always keeping an eye on other people's pigs. That happens. In my own personal experience, I showed a dairy heifer in college. She laid down in the ring. So that was very embarrassing.
I was wondering
for
if
me.
that would happen a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't happen too much.
Well, how
but
do you get that cow back up?
You pull her up. And yeah.
That's fascinating. And the other thing I'm always amazed at is even when they aren't showing them in the arena, but when you walk through the barns, which is fun to see, everything is so clean.
Yes. So they actually are judged on their herdsmanship, which is kind of like sportsmanship, but in the livestock world. So their main duties are to, one, be kind to each other, help each other out, clean up around their stall, take care of their animals. Like if you're walking through and you see an animal without water, they're probably not going to get herdsmanship. Just things like that. Keeping it clean for the public.
The bedding always looks so clean. Everything's so fresh.
That's the main part of having livestock is taking care of it. So
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to tell you a real quick story about when we were down at the Minnesota State Fair. Our girls were little, I suppose, 4 or 5, and our daughter Amanda had beautiful long hair. And anyway, we were walking through the cow barn, and of course, some of the tails are really kept beautifully on these cows. They must be brushed or something.
Yeah, they get fit.
Yeah. So little Sarah said to our other daughter Amanda, "Boy, that cow's tail looks just like your hair," and, because the cows and the animals are just groomed so perfectly from head to tail.
Yep.
And so it's fun. Tell us a little bit about the horses.
So the horse show is on Wednesday and Thursday. They come in Tuesday night and they're stalled in the barn. They have the option to just bring them in for the day if they want. And then there's a horse show. They start at 9 a.m. Wednesday and Thursday, and they show all different classes from Western pleasure, Western horsemanship, trail, and then there's even some jumping classes. And then we do some fun games like egg and spoon, and it's pretty fun. Yeah.
Sure. And so are there, is it kind of a horse show in which they're judged, kind of a competition type horse show?
Yep. It's a competition. They're judged just like every other show.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's awesome. And I'm sure people are very proud of their horses.
Oh, yeah.
Those are beautiful animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you enjoy working with that. And now, Sam, tell us about the food stand, the 4-H food stand, because like our master gardeners have been bringing in rhubarb for the past month for the famous rhubarb pies. Tell us about the 4-H food stand at the fair.
Yes, so the 4-H food stand, people come from far and wide for this 4-H food stand. We just this last week made about 80 pies for the fair. So we have everything from rhubarb to triple berry and apple. Very gracious donors for flour and sugar and rhubarb and apples. So we can't thank everyone enough for all their donations that helps make these pies for the food stand. We also have everything from hot dogs to sloppy joes to taco in a bag. So lots of different options at the food stand. Come out. We're open until about 8 p.m. 7 p.m. every day.
And so it's an economical way to get a good lunch
it's
at
very
the fair.
Yep, very affordable compared to some of the other options.
Who does all that baking?
So we had 2 4-H clubs come in,
Okay.
And we have a food stand manager and her helper, and they kind of helped do all the baking together. There's kind of an assembly line of everyone in the kitchen, and
that's a lot of pies.
It's a lot of pies. And the crazy thing is we started baking around 8:45, and we were done with all those pies right around 1 o'clock. So
Man,
That's the fastest it's ever been.
we were able to get them out, and we had 2 volunteers that have done it probably since she was a very little girl. And it was really cool to see her leadership. She kind of just took the lead and told everyone what they needed to do. It's my first year doing this, so I wasn't quite sure what to do. So I, asked her, and she spoke up and let everyone know what their jobs were. And so that was really cool to see a youth being able to do that.
that is impressive.
Yeah, the 4-H food stand pies are famous. And so where is the food stand?
So the food stand is located in the Butler building.
So it's right in the front as you walk in the Butler building.
Yep, you'll see it right when you walk in. So
Great. Yeah, super. So, and there's some spots where people can sit, and a good way to feed a family fairly economically. I think there's some benches in front of the Butler building also.
Yep.
There's no tables in the Butler building, but there are outside. Yep.
Yeah, and of course the 4-H food stand's been going on for a long time,
Yeah.
and so that's certainly one of the highlights for that. I can't wait to get my. It's difficult to decide though. Triple berry, apple, rhubarb.
I know.
Yeah.
And there's ice cream to go along with them too. So
That's awesome. I'll be there multiple days. I'll have one
to try them all.
I'll be there every day, so.
one of each on different. Oh, I should mention too that the NDSU Cass County Extension personnel are there in the Butler building. There's a gazebo, kind of a gazebo, in which many of us are there. Our master gardeners are there, and so our Cass County Extension personnel are there in that building also to visit with people and answer any questions that anyone might have.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot going around.
Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to bring up about the food stand was that it's ran all by volunteers. So all the clubs volunteer and kids come in and their parents and guardians. So it's really cool to see everyone working together.
All right, let's take a quick little break. When we come back, let's talk more about 4-H.
Local news affects your life. It gives you the confidence and clarity to make better decisions every day. You can support that with a digital subscription. Visit inforum.com/subscribe to take advantage of our introductory offer, just $6 for 6 months.
All right, we're back, and this week we've got guests in the studio, Sam Weidner and Lilly Beana from Cass County Extension, and we're talking about the Red River Valley Fair and Extension's involvement in that, but also 4-H. So talk a little bit about 4-H. For someone who's never heard of 4-H, how would you explain it?
So 4-H is a youth development program of Extension. So they're across all states. 4-H is available. So it's available in all 53 counties in our state, which is great. And it provides lots of hands-on learning. Kids learn life skills. It's really learn by doing is kind of our motto. It's a great way for kids to learn everything from animals to science, sewing, really any interest that a kid has, we can find something for them to be able to work on.
So it's not all just agriculture?
No, it is not all just agriculture. So growing up, I was not in 4-H. We always thought 4-H was for people with animals, and that was it. And I got into the extension career about 3 years ago, and I've learned that it is so much more than just that. It's something that I really wish I would have been a part of, just to work on those public speaking skills, leadership skills, really anyone that is interested in anything at all. We can find something for them.
One thing I want to mention is a lot of people think 4-H is just the fair. It's not just the fair. There's many other things people can do, from contests to, all sorts of like leadership camps and everything.
Project days. Yeah.
It's a year-round.
Yeah,
It's year-round activities, year-round involvement.
Well, so now here in Cass County, of course, a good share of our population lives in town, Fargo, West Fargo, Moorhead residents. And so what are some of the types of things that city kids in 4-H, what would there be reasons that kids in town would join 4-H? And is it available, for example, in Fargo? Is 4-H available to city kids?
Yes, 4-H is available to city kids. In Cass County, we have 16 different clubs with right around 400 youth and volunteers total. But we have lots of our clubs are located right in Fargo, and there's lots of things for city kids to be able to do. They can do activities such as communication. We have fashion review. We have Project Expo. There's lots of different volunteer activities that clubs will do together. So yes, there's something for everyone. And I don't know if you want to talk about the livestock enrichment program.
Yeah. So being a city kid, you can also show livestock in Fargo. The Red River Valley Fair started the livestock enrichment program. It's a very affordable way for kids to get into a livestock project. So we actually, I believe there's about 40 kids this year. It started with 4 and now it's at 40. I think it's 43.
43, yeah, something like that.
But it's great. They, the fair runs it. So Emily out at the fair, she's kind of the main person for that. Kids in town go out there every day during the week in the summer, and they go and they take care of their animal. They learn how to show an animal. They become part of the marketing process for the premium sale. So
if I can't have a cow in the backyard in my South Fargo home.
You can't have a cow.
But are the animals out there at the fairgrounds?
Yeah, so right now, the livestock enrichment program consists of goats, swine, and sheep. So it's a little hard to get cows. They're a little too big.
So do each of the 4-Hers have their own animal?
Yep, each 4-Her.
And then they go out?
They go out, they're assigned chore times, and they go out to do chores.
Oh, awesome.
The funny thing is, though, they have their assigned chore times, but they're usually out there anyway. So they really spend the summer in the barn, and it's great to see. They've all become really close friends. So yeah.
So now we've mentioned clubs. Is that the way in which 4-H is kind of administered? So there are local clubs. Describe a little bit about. You mentioned like Cass County, for example, has 16?
Yep, we have 16 clubs.
So that's the way it's kind of organized by clubs.
Yep, and so all the clubs meet on different days and different times, usually about once a month, and they're ran by anywhere from about 1 to 5 leaders, depending on the club and the club size. We have some very small clubs, and then we have some really large clubs that have over 50 youth in it. So without these volunteers, 4-H really wouldn't be possible because we give them the education and the materials that they need to run the clubs, but they're kind of the ones that are really doing it. So it's really a great partnership.
It would be impossible for Sam to manage 400 youth without the leaders.
So yes, very thankful for our volunteers.
Yes, that's awesome. And so if anyone listening, North Dakota, Minnesota, etc., so now we've heard about 4-H and clubs. So if somebody's thinking, gosh, my kids, this would really be good. How do they go about finding a club, or what's the mechanism for joining a club, or how do you contact someone?
Yeah, I would contact your local extension office. All counties in North Dakota has an extension office, but if you're not in North Dakota, you should have a local extension office somewhere
check
around you.
Land Grant University and the extension service in many counties.
Yep, and they should be able to provide you information on 4-H.
Yeah, and so now when I think of club, it kind of has a little bit of a connotation as kind of a closed group. Address that a little bit. I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, it's not a closed group. A lot of our clubs even work together on different things. They'll come together for different projects. They'll volunteer together. So anyone can join any club. It doesn't matter where if you're from Fargo and you want to join a club in Kindred, that's fine. You would just need to provide that transportation for yourself. But it's really a community effort.
We also have different clubs that are kind of project area based. So we have Triple C, that's like our horse club. They do a lot of horse clinics. They have a horse show. So if you're really interested in horses and you have a horse, you could be in the Triple C club. Even if you don't have a horse, you could be in it. We also have Rush River Livestock. That's mainly livestock, but they also do static and all the other things. And yeah.
One thing that really impresses me about the 4-H members who I have encountered is they go out of their way to include others.
Yes.
Awesome. In fact, I just recently on campus judged the 4-H ambassadors, 4-H who are aspiring to become 4-H ambassadors. We could do a whole podcast on that. But during the interview process, all of the ambassador candidates, one of the main things that they professed was they wanted to make other kids feel included. And so it was really just touching that these kids really, one of their main things, the projects and everything are awesome, but one of the main things, they wanted other youth to feel included.
Yeah, growing up in 4-H, I will say you kind of get a 4-H family. There's still people that I talk to quite often that I met in 4-H. Out at the fairgrounds, Tucker Regner, he runs the Egg Ed building. We were 4-H ambassadors together. So you never really forget your 4-H family. It's special.
Yeah, so it's awesome. So they really do have the mindset of wanting to make everyone feel welcome. Yeah, so it's really awesome. Oh, the 4-H. Okay, what are these for? The 4. I know there's a pledge.
There is a pledge. Do you want me to say it?
Can you recite the pledge? Because I think that contains contains the 4 things.
Yes. I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands for larger service, and my health for better living, for my club, my community, my country, and my world.
Awesome.
So it's heart, health, hands, and head. Yep. Those are the 4-H's.
And that's usually recited at the beginning of every 4-H meeting.
Yep.
So.
How often do they meet typically?
Typically about once a month. Sometimes more than that if they're doing like a service day or maybe a project activity day of some sort. But typically once a month.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed doing some of these. I think you call them project colleges. I've enjoyed doing some of these. We've had 4-Hers where we've done seeding, and transplanting, where they can take little plants home and grow them on. And so it's just really a great way to get kids involved. And I'm so happy to hear that it's not just farm kids. In Fargo here, very active, and I think many cities, very active city programs.
I also think that 4-H is kind of, it's what you put into it. If you don't want to do every single contest, you don't have to do every single contest. Maybe you pick one. Our big rule is you have to have 6 things before you can do the fair, but that's very manageable.
Very manageable, yep. Yeah. You could either attend, 6 meetings, you could do a few meetings and a couple project colleges. So very easy to be able to get in your
What are the age ranges for participation in 4-H?
5 to 18.
Yep, 5 to 18, 19.
Yeah.
Kind of depends on the
And what are the little ones? I think I heard you. What are the littlest 4-Hers called?
They're called our clover buds. And they're kind of they're learning the process of 4-H. A lot of it is just participation for them, but it's a great way for them to kind of kick off their 4-H.
And of course, the 4-H, the clover is really the symbol that you see all over for 4-H.
Yeah.
And so clover buds, clever.
The clover buds they're so cute.
Yeah, we did a clover bud project college earlier this year, and we had some older youth that came in to kind of guide those youth through their project day, and that was really cool to see that leadership and connections.
And I think you mentioned, Sam, 4-H has been around, I think, in the United States since 1920s?
1902.
1902.
Yeah, yep.
Wow. And I think Extension was, the land grant system and Extension was formatted about that time, I think.
I'm not entirely sure. But.
And about that sometime. So 4-H and the Land Grant Extension Mission have been together a long, long time.
Yeah.
Well, I feel a lot more confident about what 4-H is.
Yeah.
Just one question, you talked about, because there's such a wide variety and array of programs and clubs and things like that. Is there a cost? And does that depend on the program?
So to be in 4-H in Cass County, to sign up for the year, it's $5. And that kind of just helps fund our program and provide different activities.
$5?
$5, yep.
So less than a cup of coffee?
Yes, less than a cup of coffee. So a lot cheaper than some of the other programs out in the community. But we want to make it affordable for families. And if that $5 is a barrier for you, we can work with you on that. So we do project colleges throughout the year where kids can come and sign up for, they might learn how to paint something. Dawn did an herb garden project college for us. So those range anywhere from about $5 to $25, depending on that.
Yeah, depending on what the cost of, I know with ours, we charge a little something for the potting soil and the pots and things. So
and then there's also 4-H camps out in Washburn. There's costs with that, but there's also scholarships available for that. So it kind of just depends on the activity, but just know that we can make it work for anyone.
It's made affordable.
Typically, we try to make it.
Yep.
Okay. Great to know. Great. Well, thanks a lot for coming in this week. And how busy are you already? We're a week out from the fair right now. How busy are you right now?
Well, Are you heading out there? We're going day to day.
Yeah, we're keeping our head above water, but I think we're sitting pretty good, and we're ready for next week.
Because Judging Day next Thursday, how many exhibits are you anticipating?
We should have a little over 1,300
So 1,300
Yep.
static exhibits, meaning they aren't the live animals
Nope,
running around.
that's
So
just
static, meaning
static.
they're in place
static.
there
Yep,
for us
yep.
judges to place.
We have about 30 judges and lots of volunteers.
So there's a lot
over.
that goes into entering and keeping track of all of those exhibits and lining up judges, lining everything all up. And they get entered into a computer system.
Yep.
And so it's quite a network of work that goes into all of that.
Yes, and we couldn't do it without all the help in our office and all the volunteers. The fair would not be what it is without all of our wonderful volunteers. So I want to just say a big thank you to them.
Yeah, I would like to say a big thank you to the Red River Valley Fair as well. We couldn't do it without the Red River Valley Fair, to put it bluntly.
They're such supporters
yeah,
of 4-H and
they're
Extension.
great. Cody and Emily, they support us 100%.
And we also have lots of other sponsors throughout the community that have been donated, everything from flour to sugar to prizes. So really, it's a big community effort.
It really is. It's a wonderful county fair type atmosphere. Yeah, it's... Boy, you don't get much more down-home America than
it's a community.
Fair.
It's great.
It is.
One last question: which kind of pie will each of you get at the stand there?
Probably one of each, but rhubarb's my favorite.
Probably one of each because we're there all week. But rhubarb will probably be my favorite.
Yes.
Don, how about you?
Well, starting with rhubarb, that's a must-have.
Seems to be a fan favorite.
I will say I made the apple pie, so I made the filling. So I highly recommend the apple pie.
And they're from homegrown apples.
Yep.
They're all from homegrown apples. They were harvested, brought in by many master gardeners and others in the fall of the year.
And packed.
So they were fresh, homegrown apples last fall, and then they get frozen right away for the filling. So even the filling, it's not canned apples.
No.
It's fresh apples.
All homemade.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming in, and have a good time at the fair.
Yeah, thank you
you.
for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Lily, and thank you, Sam.
And
Thank
Don,
you, John.
if people have questions for you about anything related to their garden, or if they have questions about the fair for you and Extension's involvement, what's the best way to reach you?
Send us an email, donald.kinsler, KINZLER, @ndsu.edu.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, John. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And again, thank you, Sam and Lily.